Good afternoon.
Good,
Welcome.
good Monday. Happy Monday.
Another beautiful day today in Texas. We do want to say thank you for watching our video on why we moved to Texas. We got a lot of feedback with that, a lot of engagement, a lot of comments, and we thank you for that.
We just appreciate you, period, for stopping on by.
Yes. Oh, so what are we talking about today, babe? I think we said, de-escalating arguments. And I know this is kind of a touchy subject, but we all know that when you're in any type of relationship, you're going to have disagreements, which, we use the term argue, but really it's just a disagreement. It doesn't mean that you stop loving each other.
Or that you have to argue, because there's a difference between a disagreement and then when it escalates to argument.
And
or
that's
fighting.
That's the whole point of
Not
the video.
physical, because we know y'all ain't doing all that,
No,
right?
no, we don't do that. But that's what we want to talk about on a few strategies that I saw, because we had a disagreement a few days back,
And it ain't the first one, because
right,
we've been
and
married.
it's definitely not going to be the last one. But
we've been married for 11 years.
right, but it's about how you communicate effectively, to know how to express yourself. But what I saw, first of all, when we had this disagreement, because that's the term I'm going to use. I don't want to use argument, because that just sounds so derogatory.
Yeah.
But you understand what's going on. We were in the car and we had a disagreement, and we both felt it, but we didn't talk about it because we were in the vehicle. So what I saw was that like a few days went by, but now I can only speak for myself and what I saw in myself. I saw that I was seeing that she felt irritable. Her energy was different. My energy was different. We were kind of clashing. We were being short with each other. Instead of, and this is one of the tips, when you have a disagreement, you definitely want to talk about it right then and there. If you're not emotional,
Well, there's difference. I know a lot of people use the term emotional, but emotions can be whether it be sadness or happiness, right? So it's encouraged that you not do it from a lower emotion, anger, things like that.
right. So again, tip number one, talk about it right then and there. Don't let it fester over time, because what I noticed was, what I saw was, it was an escalation within myself. Instead of just going straight to her and talking to her, say, hey, this is how I feel, right? And we ended up having that conversation later, but it ended up in an argument, which it started to escalate. And that's when I noticed tip number two: pause. You got to stop, because once it starts going past that certain point that she says about where it's getting escalated, you got to stop and assess and think to yourself, okay, what's happening right now? Because I noticed it wasn't about the issue anymore. It was about blaming and pointing, and you this and you, and then her was you this, and it was just like us not understanding each other, and we didn't make it about the thing that we were disagreeing about. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going to the other room, right? Which definitely that's what you want to do to de-escalate, because our egos and our emotions, and like I said, you start blaming each other, you start calling each other names, not like in a bad way, but like, and I know a lot of people have seen this or gone through this, because there's a lot of talk about narcissism and being selfish, and all you're doing is thinking about yourself, and that's how we start calling each other names in that manner, instead of trying to seek the understanding of what is the issue really going on about, or how can we solve this disagreement. So anyway, I went to the other room and I sat there for about 15 minutes and started reflecting within myself, as far as because I already know what's going to happen when you get into an argument. The whole house, the energy changes. You can't produce or to your full potential because your mind is consumed or angry or upset or so it's important that you right away de-escalate and bring peace back to the home. And then I came back out and I sat down and I said, how can we fix this? And then that's when we had a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me go back to the original disagreement in the car. I was not irritated. I chose not to speak on it anymore to not cause further frustration. Initially, yes, I was irritated, but I chose to not speak on it on that time because I didn't think it was a good moment to bring it up or go further with it. I think that is important for all of us. Not, I'm not saying for anyone to not speak on the things that bothers them, because I am a firm believer in that. However, I have learned throughout my many decades on this planet that everything doesn't have to be talked about, and when it is talked about, it is best to come with a calmer mind. And I wanted time to think on it. So that's why I chose not to speak on it further. The other thing was later on when it was brought up was because I don't believe in winning an argument or a disagreement. No one wins in that, right? When you are choosing or you're seeking to win in an argument, again, everybody loses. So, like Dino brought up about narcissism, and it's not just a certain person. I think we can all have those different moments of being very self-centered, right? But then we got to bring it back, our awareness back, and say, okay, it's not just about me, right? When you are in a relationship, it's about you and the other person. So when this was brought up, I chose to talk about how I felt, and I believe in leading with that, not to point fingers at someone else, not to say, well, you did this. To me, that is only necessary when you are trying to get someone to understand. I don't believe in blaming as well. I believe more so in taking accountability for my own stuff, which I did. I said that this is how I felt. This is something that I had to deal with, and I'm learning to, how should I say, I have learned throughout these years that it's not only, oh, this person made me feel this way, this person did this. It's my own choosing, right? No matter what somebody do, we don't have to like or agree with what someone else does, but we get to choose on how we act or react, because there's a difference, right? Action is from more thought, more mindfulness. Reaction is just you just say or do whatever the first thing that comes in your mind. So yes.
Yeah, that's totally true. So it's like, this is why I think this is so important in a relationship, because a lot of times we're not taught how to, like I said before, communicate and express ourselves without feeling like you're not being heard or feeling like it's an attack. And that again goes with practice, and I'm not saying I want to practice arguing.
Well, but that's the thing. I just want to interject. I know a lot of times, who really wants to argue? I don't. I know he don't, right? Most of all, I know all. So you see all y'all hands going up, right? We don't want to, right? And it's the disagreement which we're gonna have as human beings, co-living on this planet, right? We're not meant to like everything, and don't have to dislike everything, right? But when we are going through this, the only way that you practice or learn is by experiencing it.
And none of this works without, like Nikki said, awareness and mindfulness, because and I know this is kind of strange, but while the disagreement was happening, I was actually aware or trying to be aware of my emotions and just seeing yourself while it's happening at the same time. And I know that seems kind of difficult because sometimes you're in the moment, and that's the key to all this. You have to be able to be the seer within yourself, or the watchman of yourself, because if you can't see yourself, then you're just straight emotion. You're just straight um, being in the self. I mean, and it's like you have to. Here's another tip: try not to raise your voice. Keep it calm, because sometimes we're so passionate about saying things, it comes out high. But I noticed that when you keep your voice down, or even if you got to tell each other, tone it down.
Take a breath.
Yeah, pause.
Right.
Like Nikki says that all the time. Pause. Okay, so that's just something that you have to practice, and it's not just in marriages. This is business, relationships, friendships.
Everything is a relationship.
Everything. So you can incorporate these tips or tools or strategies, whatever you want to call them, into your daily life. And this is why I think even meditation and praying is the practice of learning to see yourself and humbling yourself, and just hearing, while stuff is going on, just being present. All that stuff is connected. And number one is being intimate with yourself, so then you can be intimate with your partner, and understanding that it's not just you. A relationship is to relate with someone else, or something else. So
I just want to say this too.
Go ahead, babe.
If you could keep it on the forefront of your mind when you are having when you are having a disagreement with anyone, seek to help the relationship. How can I make this better instead of harm? Because often, again, the reaction, when we just react, we often do harm someone, and we're harming someone with our words, because that's most of the time that's what we as humans are doing, right? Because you can fight with your words as well. We don't want to do that. We know that y'all don't want to do that either. But when you're taking or you're having a conversation, even if it's a disagreement, if you're keeping it in the forefront of your mind, how can I make this better? And see yourself through that person, right? See how they're acting, how they're, notice, observe what they may be feeling, and ask them. Take a pause, take a break, and ask them, how are you feeling? Because again, it's not just about you. If you are seeking to better something, help in a relationship with another person, if Jane Doe says to Fred, or Fred says to Jane, blah 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 blah, because I don't want to put no mean stuff in the air, right? And that person looks at the other person to see their action change, and not in the greatest way, then that's something that we should take into account for ourselves and change the manner of how we're speaking to someone else.
And that's where maturity comes in. I know for me, as I've gotten older, wanting to be better,
More season.
Yeah, season.
More.
Yeah, more season in life, more experience. And to me, again, the most important reason why you don't want to argue is because when your mind is messed up, you're not going to be able to operate in a peaceful manner. Her mind is going to be messed up. If she's angry or she's upset or she's in disagreement, and it affects the household.
Yes.
Again, that is so important, because then you start making bad choices, or bad decisions. And if you ever notice, I don't know if you guys notice this, but whenever you're in this heightened state or angry state, you drop things, something happens, and you notice how they say, man, it's like everything is falling apart.
Because you're putting the energy out there into the world, and it's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yes. So that's something to be mindful of. And one thing I just thought of too, because sometimes that block in the communication, sometimes a person could be saying something, but you're thinking something totally different of what they're saying. So sometimes you have to repeat back. And I learned this when I read this in this book, motivational interviewing, is to repeat back what the other person says. So it's like, okay, so let me get this straight.
Clarify.
Clarification. What this is what you said, blah 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 blah. And then most of the time they're going to be like, no. So you got to keep saying it over and over until you get it, because sometimes you think you get things and you don't, and then the other person's looking like, I thought you understood what I said,
and creates a problem. I give you an example. Back when I used to work as a nurse, if I would get a verbal order, if the doctor is standing right there in front of me, or the nurse practitioner, or I get a phone order, that's one thing that they instilled in us in the nursing program, something that I practice. Hey, so Dr. So-and-so, you're saying such and such medication at such and such time, dosage to so-and-so, to clarify, make sure that I don't create a problem for myself and the patient. Yes.
Right. So, so we made up. So we're out here walking again, and just all this really, it's for you guys, but it's also for us too, to kind of give us and make us better in our relationship. And then we carry that outside of the home, because in the home, that's where all the truth is. That's where the gym is. That's where everything is happening. Because you can go outside and pretend and play fake and be a hypocrite and all that stuff, but inside the home is where the truth is at. Just like inside you is where the truth is at. So it's different, the relationship with yourself, than it is with another person, because now you're involved with someone else outside of you. But how you treat yourself is going to express itself in the outside into other people, whether it's people you just met, or friendships, wives, partners, or
Husbands, boyfriend.
yeah, whoever. And I truly believe that when you start to implement this in life, everything gets smoother, everything gets better, and that's the whole goal, right?
But just know, challenges still come.
Yes.
It's not meant to be smooth sailing. I've heard people say we don't never disagree. To each their own. God bless their ministry. But for me, I can only speak for myself, right? I can't speak for nobody else, right? That it is my knowing that as I change, go up in years, live in different places, be in a different space within my mind, right? As I am growing, he is growing, so things may change. 10 years ago, I could have said XYZ to Dino, and that's what he wanted, right? Or vice versa. In today's time, it might be different. We have to be willing to be open to shifting, adjusting according to how, or again, like I was saying earlier, seeking for the best, to help instead of to harm. I want to go back to disagreements coming, challenges coming, because it's part of the growth process, right? Like me being a 50-year young, because I don't believe in calling myself old, person, I can't do everything I did when I was in my 20s, 30s, right. 40s. Okay? So I had to adjust. All right? If I don't adjust, then I'm not allowing myself to grow and learn from this new Nikei that I am becoming, and what's going to help me become in the future. So again, I say, when, like I said earlier, we're going to have dislikes of each other. Shoot, heck, sometimes we dislike ourselves, the things we do, right?
Right.
We got to be honest. I say, like, Nikei, did you like that? No, I did not. Okay, I need to change that. All right? So if we're not willing to do that for each other, then how does it get better? So when we are fighting within ourselves to share with someone, the hey, I didn't like what you said to me. Then you're not being honest with yourself. That stirring is going to stay there, and you're not giving that person the opportunity to learn you, to help you.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
All right.
And something else that I just thought of too. I think the next day or the day after, Nikki came up to me in the kitchen and she was like, she just looked at me and she goes, "You know I still love you, right?" And I said, "Yeah, of course, you know." And that's important to say, because I'm going to tell you what happens when you are in this unpeaceful mindset. You start to create all these thoughts in your head, these untruths going on inside your mind, which, you want to settle everything as quickly as possible, because you don't want to, like it says, let no man come in between you and your wife. And it's not just people outside of you, but it's yourself. It's yourself, to be aware that you could be your own worst enemy sometimes. And when you're in a partnership and you see that, because you can tell, I see how she acts, she sees how I act, and you can go and encourage and speak life and calm the situation down, calm the person down, like she said, with that intentional love, where and when she said that, it even brought me down even more. It reassured me that this was just a bump in the road, and you just keep it moving, and you learn from it, and you learn to respect each other. You learn to understand each other. That's really the main thing, is just wanting to be heard,
Understood.
And
Because sometimes you hear somebody, but you're not understanding them, because understanding is more, okay, I feel you, all right, so if you just hear somebody, okay, all right, Jane, Fred, you said this to me, but understand, oh, that's what Jane or Fred said, okay.
And sometimes it takes a minute before you get true understanding. You can say, man, this is coming up too right now, because sometimes you could say, yeah, I understand you, just to patronize somebody, or you say things just so that you don't argue no more, but
it creates a bigger argument later.
But it's going to recycle again, and it's going to come up again, just in a different manner, because you still haven't understood, like she said. And a lot of people do it, and I've done it. Okay, babe, whatever.
It's
okay.
like remember when you was in school. I don't care if you was in elementary, high school, college, university, whatever. We all been there, right? Where you ever had to do a makeup test? And I tried not to do those, right? Because I just wanted to get the test done and over with, right? Like to check stuff off my list. But you get a makeup test, and the test is, I could think of one time I had a makeup test in college. And it was harder than what I had originally prepared for. And then the only reason why I knew it was harder, because when I compared notes, when I compared questions, like, hey, did you guys ask this, that, and they're like, oh, no. But then also, too, as you go up different levels in different classes, so like English 101, when I first started in college, by the time I left, I'm taking 400, 500 level classes, totally different from when I started English 101, okay? It's part of our growth. We have to challenge ourselves out of something and into something else. So again, when we are staying away from being honest with someone, and like Dino said, don't nobody want to argue, right? But if you don't share with someone that, hey, didn't like this or whatever, or you just, like Dino said, patronize somebody, just going on, oh, okay, the lesson gets harder,
right?
Because like, you didn't grow yet. So we gotta turn up something, create a situation for you to grow into.
Grow out of.
Grow out of, and then grow into the next level of understanding, of awareness.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we gotta go grocery shop for our Thanksgiving meal.
Yes.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to all those who celebrate. we like to call it our happy thankful day, happy grateful day.
Mm-hmm.
Just a time to remind us, which we should be doing every day, right? You know, being in gratitude and so forth, and spending time with your loved ones, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Peace and blessings. We wish you all well. Thank you for
See you on the
being on
next
our
one.
channel. Bye
Take
bye.
care.